What happens when a beloved actress sits down for what should be a friendly chat and finds herself under attack from a host who refuses to let her speak? In just 28 seconds, a simple question turns into a full-blown ambush that leaves one woman walking off the set and a studio audience in complete shock. This is the story of Miriam Margolyes, the British treasure known for her warmth and honesty, and the day she faced off against Denise Welch on the Loose Women panel. What started as a normal interview quickly spiraled into one of the most explosive moments in daytime television history. Miriam walks onto the set with a huge smile. The audience claps and cheers. She's there to talk about her latest project, a documentary she's been working on about older people in society. It's a topic she cares deeply about. She waves to the crowd and takes her seat on the famous purple couch. Sitting across from her is the panel. Denise Welch, the lead host for the day, sits in the center. Next to her are Kay Adams, Nadia Sawalha, and Jane Moore. They all smile and welcome Miriam. Everything seems normal. Everything seems fine. Denise starts the interview. She's shuffling her note cards, not really looking at Miriam. Miriam, lovely to have you here. Now, this documentary of yours, some people are saying it's quite depressing. Why focus on such a dreary topic? Right away, you can see Miriam's face change. The smile fades just a little. Her eyes narrow slightly, but she stays professional. She takes a breath and responds calmly. Well, Denise, I don't think it's dreary at all. Actually, I think it's quite the opposite. I think older people have incredible stories to tell. They've lived through so much history. They have wisdom and experience that we're losing because we live in a society that pushes them aside. I wanted to shine a light on that. I wanted to give them a voice. Denise leans back in her chair. She crosses her arms. There's a smirk on her face. But isn't that just the way things are? I mean, young people want to see young people on television. Old people want to see old people. That's just reality. That's how the world works. Why fight it? Kay Adams jumps in. She can sense the tension building. I think what Miriam is trying to say is that there's room for everyone. There's space for all kinds of stories on television. We shouldn't have to choose between young and old. We can have both. She's trying to smooth things over. You can hear it in her voice. There's a nervousness there. But Denise isn't done. She cuts Kay off with a wave of her hand. No, let's be honest here. Let's really get into this. Miriam, you're of a certain age yourself. You're not a young woman anymore. Aren't you just making this documentary because you're worried about your own career? Aren't you worried that people aren't interested in you anymore? The audience gasps. It's a loud, collective gasp that fills the studio. Nadia. Sawalha's mouth drops open. Her eyes go wide. Jane Moore looks down at her notes, clearly uncomfortable. She's shifting in her seat. Miriam sits up straighter. Her eyes narrow. Her jaw tightens. You can see her hands grip the edge of the couch. Excuse me? Miriam's voice is sharp now. There's steel in it. Are you seriously suggesting that I made an entire documentary, spent months working on it, interviewing people, filming their stories, because I'm insecure about my age? Is that really what you're saying to me right now? Denise shrugs. Her face shows no remorse. I'm just asking the question that everyone's thinking. Someone has to say it. That's what we do here. We say the things that other people are afraid to say. No, you're not, Miriam fires back. Her voice is getting louder. You're being rude. There's a difference between asking a challenging question and being outright disrespectful. A challenging question would be about the content of the documentary, about the people I interviewed, about the issues I'm raising. What you're doing is attacking me personally. That's not journalism. That's not even good television. It's just mean. The tension in the studio is thick. You could cut it with a knife. The camera operators don't know where to point their cameras. They're swiveling back and forth between Denise and Miriam. The audience sits in stunned silence. Some people are leaning forward in their seats. Others are covering their mouths. Nobody knows what to do. Denise laughs, but it's not a real laugh. It's fake and hollow. It's the kind of laugh someone does when they're trying to look in control, but they're actually getting defensive. Oh, come on, Miriam. Don't be so sensitive. This is Loose Women. We say what we think. We're not afraid to have difficult conversations. If you can't handle that, maybe you shouldn't have agreed to come on the show. Saying what you think is fine, Miriam responds, her voice steady but firm. She's not shouting, but every word carries weight. Being nasty is something else entirely. I've been in this industry for decades. I've done thousands of interviews. I know the difference between a tough interview and a hostile one. This is hostile. You're not interested in what I have to say. You're interested in taking shots at me. And I don't understand why. Nadia tries to step in. Her voice is gentle, soothing. Maybe we should talk about the actual content of the documentary. I think that's what people really want to hear about. Miriam, can you tell us about some of the people you interviewed? What were their stories like? But before Miriam can answer, before she can even open her mouth, Denise speaks over her again. Actually, I'd like to know why Miriam thinks she can come on our show and tell us how to do our jobs. We've been doing this for years. We know what works. We know what our audience wants to see. Miriam's eyebrows shoot up. Her mouth falls open slightly. I never said anything about how you do your jobs. I'm talking about how you're treating me right now, in this moment. That's completely different. You just called me nasty, Denise says, her voice getting louder. She's leaning forward now, jabbing her finger in Miriam's direction. On live television, in front of millions of people. That's pretty bold. That's pretty disrespectful, if you ask me. You called my work depressing and suggested I only made it because I'm desperate for relevance, Miriam counters. Her voice matches Denise's volume now. You questioned my motives. You insulted my age. You dismissed something I poured my heart into. What exactly did you expect me to say? Did you expect me to just sit here and smile and take it? Jane Moore finally speaks up. She's been quiet this whole time, watching everything unfold. I think we're getting a bit off track here. This has become about the two of you instead of about the documentary. Denise, maybe we should focus on the actual documentary. Ask about the filming process. Ask about what Miriam learned. Ask about anything other than her age and her career. But Denise waves her hand dismissively. She's not listening. No, I want to address this. Miriam clearly has an issue with me, and I think we should talk about it. I think we should air this out right here, right now, so everyone can see what's really going on. Miriam lets out a long breath. She closes her eyes for a second. She's trying to keep her composure. You can see it in the way she presses her lips together, in the way her hands are gripping each other in her lap. She opens her eyes and looks directly at Denise. I don't have an issue with you, Denise. I don't even know you. I have an issue with the way you've conducted this interview. You've been hostile from the moment I sat down, from your very first question, and everyone in the studio can see it. Everyone watching at home can see it. Hostile? Denise's voice rises. She looks genuinely offended now. I asked you perfectly reasonable questions, and you're throwing a tantrum. You're acting like I've attacked you, when all I've done is have a normal conversation. This is what happens on talk shows. We ask questions. We have discussions. We don't just sit here and praise our guests endlessly. A tantrum? Miriam's voice gets louder too. She can't believe what she's hearing. You ambushed me. This was supposed to be an interview about my documentary, and you've turned it into a personal attack. You haven't asked me a single question about the content. Not one. You've only talked about my age and my career. That's not an interview. That's bullying. The audience starts to murmur. Some people are nodding in agreement with Miriam. Others look confused. The other panelists are clearly uncomfortable. Kay Adams is shaking her head slightly. Nadia Sawalha looks like she wants to disappear into her chair. Denise leans forward. If you can't handle tough questions, maybe you shouldn't be doing interviews. That's it. That's the moment. Miriam's face hardens. She stands up and starts to remove her microphone. Tough questions are fine. I've done hundreds of interviews. But this isn't journalism. This is you trying to make yourself look clever at my expense. Oh, please, Denise scoffs. Don't be so dramatic. Miriam stops. She looks directly at Denise. The entire studio goes silent. You know what, Denise? I came here in good faith. I came here to talk about something I care about. And you've spent the entire time trying to belittle me. I don't need this. I don't need to sit here and be insulted. Kay Adams stands up. Miriam, please, let's just take a breath and start over. But Miriam shakes her head. No, I appreciate your kindness, Kay, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend this is okay. Denise has been out of line from the start, and everyone in this studio knows it. Denise rolls her eyes. Oh, here we go. The dramatic exit. Very original. Jane Moore turns to Denise. Can you just stop for 1 second? But Denise ignores her. What's wrong, Miriam? Can't handle a bit of back and forth? Miriam finishes taking off her microphone and hands it to a crew member who has rushed over. This isn't back and forth. This is you being cruel for no reason, and I won't be part of it. Nadia Sawalha stands up too. Denise, come on. This has gone too far. Denise throws her hands up. Why is everyone acting like I'm the villain here? I'm just doing my job. Your job isn't to attack your guests, Miriam says firmly. She picks up her bag from beside the couch. Your job is to have interesting conversations, but you're more interested in creating drama than actually listening to what anyone has to say. The audience starts to applaud. Not everyone, but a good portion of them. They're clapping for Miriam. Denise's face goes red. She looks around the studio, clearly, surprised by the reaction. Are you all serious right now? Denise asks the audience. She's the one walking off our show and you're applauding her? Kay Adams puts her hand on Denise's arm. Maybe we should go to a commercial break. But the cameras are still rolling. The producers haven't cut away yet. Miriam is walking towards the exit, her head held high. Denise can't help herself. She keeps talking. This is so unprofessional, Denise calls after her. You're acting like a child. Miriam stops. She turns around one last time. The camera zooms in on her face. She looks tired, but dignified. No, Denise. A child throws insults when they don't get their way. I'm an adult who knows when to walk away from toxicity. There's a difference. And with that, she walks off the set. The studio doors close behind her. The audience erupts into mixed reactions. Some are still clapping. Others are talking amongst themselves. The 3 remaining panelists sit in shocked silence. Denise looks at the camera. She tries to compose herself. Well, that was certainly unexpected. Jane Moore shakes her head. Was it, though? Denise turns to her. What's that supposed to mean? It means, Jane says carefully, that maybe you pushed too hard. Nadia nods. She's right, Denise. That was really uncomfortable to watch. Denise's face gets even redder. I cannot believe you're all turning on me right now. I was doing my job. Kay Adams speaks softly but firmly. Your job isn't to make guests feel attacked. We're supposed to have conversations, not confrontations. So now I'm the bad guy? Denise looks around at her fellow panelists. I'm the one who's been hosting this show for years. I know what I'm doing. Then why did our guests just walk off? Jane asks bluntly. The question hangs in the air. Denise doesn't have an answer. She looks at the camera, then back at the other women, then down at her hands. For the first time since the interview started, She's quiet. Nadia tries to move things along. Maybe we should talk about what just happened. I think our viewers deserve an explanation. But Denise isn't ready to back down completely. What just happened is that Miriam Margolyes couldn't handle a real conversation. She's used to everyone treating her like she's special because she's been in Harry Potter. Kay Adams looks shocked. That's not fair, and you know it. Isn't it? Denise challenges. She comes on here, expects us to just praise her documentary without asking any real questions, and then storms off when things get a bit challenging. Jane Moore leans forward. Denise, you told her she was making the documentary because she was worried about her career. That's not a challenging question. That's an insult. It's a valid point, Denise insists. Lots of older actors struggle with relevance. It's not my fault if she took it personally. Nadia shakes her head. Of course she took it personally. It was personal. You made it personal from the very first question. The audience is watching this all unfold. The cameras keep rolling. The producers still haven't cut to commercial. It's like everyone is frozen, watching the panel implode in real time. Kay tries one more time to bring some sense to the situation. I think we need to acknowledge that this interview didn't go the way any of us expected, and maybe we need to think about why that is. I know exactly why it is, Denise says stubbornly. Because Miriam couldn't handle the heat. Or, Jane interrupts, because you were being unnecessarily aggressive. Denise stands up now. She's had enough. You know what? If you all think I'm so terrible, maybe I should leave too. Oh, don't be ridiculous, Nadia says. No one's saying you're terrible. We're saying you were out of line. Same thing, Denise mutters. Kay stands up and faces Denise. It's not the same thing at all. We work with you. We like you. But we can also tell you when you've made a mistake. And this was a mistake. For a moment, it looks like Denise might actually listen. Her shoulders drop a little. She takes a breath. But then she shakes her head. No, I don't accept that. I was doing my job, and if Miriam couldn't handle it, that's on her, not me. Jane Moore stands up too. Then you're not listening. At all. The three panelists are now standing around Denise. The audience is silent. Everyone is waiting to see what happens next. The tension is unbearable. Finally, a producer's voice comes through their earpieces. You can't hear what's being said, but you can see all four women react. They nod. They look at the camera. Kay Adams takes a deep breath and addresses the viewers. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue the show. But everyone watching knows that nothing will be the same when they come back. The damage has been done. The interview is over. Miriam is gone, and Denise is standing there, still refusing to admit that she did anything wrong. As the show finally cuts to commercial, the last image is of the four panelists standing in awkward silence. Denise has her arms crossed, her face set in a stubborn expression. The others look exhausted and frustrated. The purple couch where Miriam sat just minutes ago is empty. Backstage, Miriam is being comforted by crew members. Several of them tell her that she did the right thing by walking off. One crew member even apologizes on behalf of the show. Miriam is gracious but firm. She tells them that she won't be returning to finish the interview. She won't be coming back after the commercial break. She's done. Back in the studio, the audience is buzzing with conversation. People are taking out their phones. They're texting their friends. They're posting on social media. Within minutes, clips of the interview start spreading online. People can't believe what they just watched. Some viewers side with Miriam. They say she was ambushed and had every right to walk off. They praise her for standing up for herself and not allowing Denise to bully her on live television. They call her brave and dignified. Others side with Denise. They say Miriam was too sensitive and couldn't handle tough questions. They argue that daytime television should be able to challenge its guests without worrying about offending them. They say Miriam's walk-off was theatrical and attention-seeking. But regardless of which side people take, everyone agrees on one thing. This was one of the most dramatic moments in Loose Women history. The interview that was supposed to be about Miriam's documentary about older people became a commentary on respect, professionalism, and how we treat each other in public spaces. The commercial break ends. The show comes back on air. The four panelists are sitting back on the couch. They've composed themselves. They're smiling, but the smiles don't reach their eyes. Kay Adams speaks first. Welcome back. As you all just saw, we had a bit of a situation with our guest Miriam Margolyes. She's decided not to continue with the interview. Denise jumps in, and we respect her decision, of course, though we were disappointed that she chose to leave. Jane Moore gives Denise a look, but doesn't say anything. Nadia Sawala shifts uncomfortably in her seat. Kay continues. We want to apologize to our viewers for the tension you just witnessed. That's not what we're about here at Loose Women. Well, Denise adds, we are about honest conversations. Sometimes those conversations get heated. That's just the nature of live television. The other panelists go quiet. They don't agree with Denise's characterization, but they're not going to argue on air anymore. The damage control has begun, but it's clear that not everyone is on the same page about what just happened. The show moves on to other topics. They discuss the news. They take questions from the audience. They do everything they normally do. But there's a cloud hanging over the rest of the episode. The energy is off. The chemistry between the panelists feels strained. Every few minutes, Denise makes a comment that seems designed to justify her behavior. I've never been one to shy away from difficult questions, she says at one point. If that makes me controversial, so be it. Kay, Jane, and Nadia exchange glances, but say nothing. They're professionals. They'll finish the show. But anyone watching can tell that there are going to be some serious conversations happening once the cameras stop rolling. As the show wraps up, Kay does the usual thank yous and previews what's coming up tomorrow. Denise sits beside her, still wearing that defiant expression. The credits roll. The cameras cut away. In the minutes after the show ends, the studio is chaos. Producers are running around. The other panelists gather in a corner, talking in hushed voices. Denise stands alone, checking her phone. Already the backlash is starting to build online. Meanwhile, Miriam has left the building. She's in a car, heading home. She's calm now. A little shaken, but mostly just disappointed. She thought the interview would be an opportunity to talk about something important to her. Instead, it turned into a spectacle. She texts her agent. That was a disaster. We need to talk. Her agent responds immediately. Already on it. The response online is mostly supportive of you. People think Denise was out of line. Miriam types back. I don't care about taking sides. I just wanted to have a proper conversation. Is that too much to ask? Back at the studio, a meeting has been called. The producers need to discuss what happened. The other panelists are there. Denise is there too, though she looks like she'd rather be anywhere else. The executive producer speaks first. We need to talk about what went wrong today. Denise interrupts. Nothing. Went wrong. We had a spirited discussion, and the guest decided to leave. It happens. Jane Moore shakes her head. Come on, Denise. You have to see that you were aggressive from the start. I was doing my job, Denise repeats for what feels like the 100th time. Kay Adams speaks up. Your job is to make guests feel welcome, while also asking interesting questions. You did neither of those things today. Nadia adds, I felt uncomfortable watching it, and I was sitting right there. Imagine how the audience felt. The executive producer nods. The audience feedback has been mixed, but a lot of people are saying the interview felt like an attack. Denise crosses her arms. So what do you want me to do? Apologize for being honest? We want you to recognize that there's a difference between being honest and being hostile, the producer says carefully. Today, you crossed that line. For the first time, Denise looks uncertain. She glances around the room at her colleagues, at the producers, at everyone staring at her. She sees disappointment in their faces. And maybe, just maybe, it's starting to sink in. "I'll think about it," she says quietly, "but I'm not making any promises." The meeting ends. Everyone disperses. The studio empties out. The stage where all the drama unfolded just an hour ago is now dark and quiet. Miriam's documentary will go on to be very successful. People watch it specifically because of the controversy surrounding this interview. They want to see what all the fuss was about. And when they watch it, they realize that Miriam was right. It's not depressing at all. It's beautiful and moving and important. The Loose Women interview becomes a teaching moment about how not to treat guests. It's discussed in journalism classes. It's analyzed on media blogs. It becomes a case study in what happens when a host prioritizes creating drama over having meaningful conversations. For Denise, the interview becomes something she can't quite shake. In the days that follow, she faces criticism from viewers, from colleagues, from people in the industry. Some support her, saying she was just being direct. But many more question her approach. The other panelists, Kay, Jane, and Nadia, are praised for trying to intervene. People appreciate that they attempted to steer the interview back on track, and that they spoke up when things went too far. They're seen as the voices of reason in a situation that spiraled out of control. But at the heart of it all is that moment when Miriam stood up, removed her microphone, and walked away. That moment of quiet dignity in the face of hostility. That refusal to accept being treated poorly, even on live television. It's a reminder that respect matters, that how we speak to each other matters, that even in the pursuit of entertainment or ratings or viral moments, we can't forget basic human decency. The interview lasted less than 10 minutes from start to finish. 10 minutes that felt like an eternity for everyone involved. 10 minutes that changed how people viewed both women. 10 minutes that sparked a conversation about boundaries and professionalism in media. Miriam never returns to Loose Women. She does other interviews with other shows where she's treated with the respect she deserves. She talks about her documentary, about her career, about her life. And every interviewer who speaks to her after this incident makes sure to create a welcoming environment, because they all learned the same lesson that Denise failed to learn that day. You can ask tough questions without being tough on your guests. You can have interesting, challenging conversations without resorting to personal attacks. You can create compelling television without sacrificing kindness. The Loose Women set gets a new guest the next day. The show goes on, but everyone who works there, everyone who watches, everyone who heard about what happened, they all remember. They remember the day Miriam Margolyes walked off set. They remember why she did it. And they remember that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply refuse to accept being treated poorly. The empty seat where Miriam sat becomes symbolic. It represents the space where a conversation should have happened but didn't, where connection should have been made but wasn't, where respect should have been given but was denied. And in the end, that's what this story is really about. Not about drama or controversy or viral moments. It's about what happens when someone draws a line and says, "No more." What happens when dignity trumps entertainment? What happens when a guest refuses to play along with a host's agenda? Miriam walked off that set with her head held high. Denise remained, still arguing that she'd done nothing wrong. The audience, both in the studio and at home, watched it all unfold and made their own judgments. But the facts speak for themselves. One woman came to share something meaningful. Another woman chose to attack rather than listen. And in 28 seconds, a simple interview turned into a moment that would be replayed, discussed, and analyzed for years to come. A moment that proved that sometimes walking away is the bravest thing you can do.